He was like, I'll get you, I'll get you, I'll get you. I'm like, I'll bring you back to life and then kill you. Hi wonderful people, and welcome back to my channel, Book Craze with Giselle. What's up, what's the scene? How are you going? We are in October, well, close to the end of October, and it is Halloween. Now, I don't really like Halloween, but I do enjoy reading paranormal romances, especially around this time of the year. I generally love a good PNR, fantasy, romance. I love the magic, you know, vampires, shifters, demons, fays, you name it. I enjoy reading books with those characters. No, I kid you not. I read one of these books. It was like late into the night, and I heard this noise. And I got so scared. I got so scared. Like, there's such a spooky element when you read these books, especially in the night, especially around this time of the year. So today I'm here to share with you some paranormal romances that have that spooky element to it, or books set in that type of setting with some of these paranormal entities. If you are looking for a really good romance to read this Halloween, then continue watching this video. If this is your first time here, what's up? We talk about romance books on this channel, every genre, subgenre. I love it. Love it, love it. It's my passion and it's my addiction. So if this is something that you love, you just love reading romance books, then make sure and subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoyed these book recommendations, make sure and give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so let's get into this video. To start off this recommendation list. Now, this is the book that I read that spooked me out. So I was reading this particular book around 2 or 3 a.m. and I started to hear noise, and then I saw shadows, and I got so scared. I got so scared. This book is Playing with Monsters, and it is written by Amelia Hutchins. Do you hear that title? Doesn't that just scream Halloween? Yes, it does. Playing with Monsters. In this book, we meet Lena and Lucian. Now, Lena, she left her coven 3 years ago, and then she's returning back for something called the harvest. And during the harvest, they perform this ceremony called the awakening. And part of this ceremony, or the awakening, is where they awaken the witches' powers, or like they get the full extent of their witch powers. And then you have Lucian, like he's on this mission, and there's something to do with a curse that a witch from that particular coven did. She also tried to kill him, and this has been happening for ages, where she'd be reincarnated, and he's on this mission to try to kill her before the awakening. This is a really fantastic read, in that Lucian, he is a demon. So you have a witch and you have a demon, and you know things are just going to be extremely spectacular and explosive between these two. You know, if you have read, or if you are a fan of Amelia Hutchins, then you know her scenes are like on fire. During this ceremony, something happens with Lena, and her whole coven turns against her, and she can only rely on the demon. She can only rely on Lucian. And then she discovers something about Lucian, and we go into book 2. This story, the setting of this story, it's really simplistic. You have fae, you have vampires, you have all of these characters in this one book, but it's mainly focused on the witch and the demon. This is one of those stories where you get a mix of everything. The story is well balanced, it flows, you get the magic, you literally get everything in this book, besides Lena and Lucian going to like his demon lair, but you know you get that later down in the series. If you're looking for a series to read this Halloween, if you're not going to any Halloween party, you just want to stay home in your house and you just read something, then this is the series for you to read. You will get hooked on this series if you love paranormal romance, even if you are not into paranormal romances and you just want to try something, this is perfect for you. It's just, everything is just so well balanced in this story. Moving on to the next one. Oh gosh, this one is so dark. This is another dark PNR. It is entitled Burn, and it is written by Suzanne, Wright. Oh my gosh. In this one, you also have a demon as the main character in the story. And Burn is book 1 in the Dark Into You series. Now I told you, this is dark. Like, this is one I personally will not read in the night. I kid you not. I was scared. I was reading this one and I'm like, oh no, they're going into some heavy stuff here, and I got scared. So if you like really dark P and R, then definitely this is the series for you to read this Halloween. In this book, we meet Harper, and she is a Sphinx, but she doesn't have her wings. Now in this story, you're going to get all of those characters that you're looking for. And she doesn't have her wings, and she's also Knox's anchor. Now a demon, they don't have like their soulmate, but they do have an anchor, and it's more psychological than it's emotional or physical. So when he realizes that, hey, Harper is his anchor, he pursues her relentlessly, and they come up against so many things. There's so much action and mystery in this book, and obviously, oh gosh, it is super steamy. Things are super intense between Harper and Knox. Knox is feared by everyone because of his power. He is so powerful. He has immense power, and for someone like that, when you find your anchor, you need them. And Harper's powers is that, like, everything that she touches, she can literally manipulate and turn into fire. So if she touches a hairpin or brush or whatever she may touch, she literally can set that afire. She can literally infuse any object with hell fire. And even if she touched the individual, she creates that intense pain. So she is powerful even on her own. But combined, they are literally a powerhouse in the demon layer. And just the setting of the book, you really get that whole other world setting that you don't get in Playing with Monsters, but you get that whole other world background setting where everything takes place. You get that. You are literally transported into a different world, and I love that about this book. I love the characters in this book, love the build up and intensity in this book, to the point where it scared me. Like, I was so frightened. It is so intense, and I'm like, Giselle, are you reading this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm reading this, but I don't think I should be reading this. Like, literally, that was my reaction to reading this book. It is so good, and as I said before, I will not, if you're like me and you get scared in the dark, do not read this book in the nighttime. Read it, you know, when the sun is out, like, and I'm playing. It is that intense, and it is that dark with everyone's powers. It is definitely a high intensity paranormal book, like straight on. There's no if, there's no buts, there's no maybe. This book, it is not as intense as the previous one. You know, I have to have a mix of books. So some persons might like it very heavy. So the first 2 books are very heavy, but this one that I'm going to talk about, this is a nice, quick shifter witch romance. It is written by Siren and it is called Maids of Magic. So this is a shifter magic witch romance. It doesn't take place in the other world. You're not transported into any layer or anything like that. It takes place on an earthly setting. But the difference is you have a witch who is part of a coven, and then you have a dragon shifter, and there's a particular witch that cast a curse on the dragon shifters so that she killed off all the female dragons, and therefore they cannot find any of their mates. And after a while of not being able to find their mates, they literally go insane. So these dragons, they are desperate to find mates, but they're not going to find mates in any female dragon. So they look elsewhere to different supernatural beings, or otherworldly beings. And you have this witch called Sierra, and she has been reincarnated 3 times. And she gets this dream that says, you know what, this coven, they have to find mates in the dragon shifters, and they cannot use magic, otherwise it could result in like the end of the world kind of thing, the end of their coven, stuff like that. And she tells her sisters this, and they're like, first they objected, but because of her powers, and because they have all been rejected by the redeemed coven, that's like the righteous witches, they embark on this journey to find their mates, because in order to survive they need help from the dragon shifters. In this first book we meet Sierra and Edmund, and Edmund, he is going insane. He's literally going insane because he has been without a mate for how many hundreds of years. Listen, this book, it is a quick, steamy read, hands down. Throughout this book, you have Edmund rejecting his mate Sierra because of who she is and coven that she's from. He rejects her multiple times until he literally has no choice but to accept her and die for her. And listen, this is crazy, but it is so sweet at the end. It is not dark, it is not heavy. It's really a shifter mating with a witch, and normally that don't happen. A shifter will mate with their own as opposed to going out of their race. So I really like that about this book. I really like that the heroine Sierra, she wasn't opposed to not accepting Edmund as her mate, and she was willing to make sacrifices for that. But Edmund was the one where he was like, I'll get you. I'm like, I'll bring you back to life and then kill you. I enjoyed the flow of this book. This is one of those books that you can really unwind and enjoy and not be overwhelmed with. The previous one, I'm telling you, they're heavy. But this one, you will not be overwhelmed. You are definitely going to just enjoy the story. Oh, yes. So this one is also an interracial romance. How could I forget? Made of Magic. It is an interracial paranormal romance. Yeah. This is another high intense book marked by Rebecca Zanetti. Now, I mentioned the Dark Protectors series in another paranormal video. But Mark, this is one of those books that you read around Halloween time. In Mark, we meet Janie and Zane, and they have been friends since, she was 4 years old, and they meet within the sleep realm, and they basically grew up together, but they were apart. Neither knew that they were actually mates until they physically met. Now, this is book 7 in the series, so there's definitely a build up to their relationship throughout the other books, but this is the book in which they actually meet. So Janie, she is a high functioning psychic. That is how she's able to enter the dream world, and she's a key factor in this huge war between these supernatural beings. Now, she's totally human. She doesn't have any magic. She's just a high functioning psychic. That is it. She's friends with witches. She's friends with vampires. Her stepdad is a vampire from the royal vampire family. And then you have Zane. No one knows about Zane, but Zane is actually a half demon, half vampire. And it was always thought that you had to be like some type of pure blood, not really understanding that, like species, they intermingled and whatnot. And everyone was scared for Jamie to be with Zane and Zane being her mate. But in this book, it is action-packed. There is so much adventure. It is a slow burn. It's not like that sexually charged, I would say. But the story in itself, you get hooked and you just absorb that story, like you devour that story. It is excitement from beginning to end. There is so much thrill in this book, in Matt. Oh my gosh. So there's this thing where throughout the story, every time one of the K's male would mate, they would get like a K on their hand, and then when they touch their mates, they would literally get branded. So when Zane finally meets Jenny and they come together, he has Z's, and instead of whereas they would have like one brand, Jimmy ends up with two brands. And there's this big war between the vampires. There are good vampires, evil vampires, and then there's vampires that is warring against the demons. One of her uncles were kidnapped by the demon realm. Like, there's so much things going on. There's so much otherworldly, supernatural things happening in this story. It definitely takes you for a ride. It takes you for a journey. There's so much magic in this one book. There's just everything in this book, and it is not as dark as the ones that I began with. So again, there's something for everyone. There's the really dark stuff, the lighter things, and then I have like an in-between marked. This is definitely an in-between based on what you're looking for in a paranormal fantasy romance book. I love this book. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Each of these books that I have mentioned, I have given or rated 5 stars. They are that good, and there's just something about each of these books that I love. And in this one, it's not just the supernatural things marked, but it's also the adventure that you get in this book. The final book that I am going to talk about, it is entitled Wicked. Like, are you hearing the titles of these books? Playing with Monsters, Burn, Wicked. Like, I am setting you on the right path this Halloween weekend. So in this book, written by Elisabeth Naughton, we have Zacharias and we have Talisa. And Zacharias, he is the Prince of Darkness. Should I repeat that? The Prince of Darkness. And then you have Talisa. She's from this other world, and she has these markings of one, she's not only a warrior, and she's from a place where only males are warriors. She meets Zacharias at this particular place, and they instantly connect, but they don't know what is drawing them together. The thing is though, Talisa, her family, they are basically warring with the Prince of Darkness. But yet she is attracted, or they are attracted to each other. And then like her family members, her cousins, they come to rescue her. And it's only when one of her cousins, Max, reveals that this is the Prince of Darkness that she actually reacts. And then you have like all of these different characters just like coming in, and he, or the Prince of Darkness, kidnaps her. And then things come out where throughout history, or for several centuries, fate would have this one woman who would try to touch that, little light that is in the King of Darkness to make him a better person. But she would end up dying, and ever so often she would come back. Fate will stand her back. And now she is reborn as Tilius. So yes, she's drawn to him, but she can't understand why she's drawn to him. And then you have persons like Zeus and Hades, and you have like all these Greek gods playing a role in this particular story, and obviously Hades, and you have like all of these Greek gods playing tricks with these people, and you have this war happening between these paranormal supernatural beings. There's no humans involved in this story at all. Every supernatural otherworldly being that you can think of is in this book, is in this story, and I loved that about it. It is not heavy, it is not dark, but it is entertaining. This one I would read in the nighttime. There's nothing scary about it. It's just pure entertainment, and a God who's willing to die and sacrifice himself for the woman that he loves, because he can't go on living his life for centuries without her being present. Like, he's tired of it and he's ready to die, and now it's her turn to fight for him. Like, I love this book. The plot and twist in this story came together beautifully. It flowed. I enjoyed the betrayal and the lies. I enjoyed the secrets. I enjoyed persons turning evil. Like, I enjoyed reading that. That was totally unexpected. There was some things that, like, what? How? Why? And I enjoyed that. This is actually book 9 in the Eternal Guardian series. I did not read a previous book to know what was happening in this one, and you don't either. You know, all the curses and hex and all of these things, you get it in these books. Each one of them, you get that in each book. So if this is what you're looking for to read this Halloween, then yes, read it. If you're just looking, hey, you just want a paranormal romance, oh well, I have you covered. So this brings me to the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed these recommendations. I gave all these books 5 stars. They were all super entertaining, super adventurous. They all had spicy, sassy heroines. All of them could have fought. All of them held their grounds against these alpha dominant males. Love that, love that, love that. We need that. Yes, we do. They all will have you engrossed from beginning to end. They are all page turners. Love them. So make sure and give this video a thumbs up, and make sure and subscribe to my channel. Make sure and hit that notification bell so you know when I post a video. Yes, make sure and do that, and feel free to share these videos so that persons know, hey, this is what you can read around Halloween time. So thank you for watching, and look out until I post another one.